For millennia, cultures around the world expanded minds and visions with teacher plants, what we commonly know today as psychedelics or entheogens, meaning generating divinity within. After the wild experimentation of the 1960s, government subversion and cultural backlash created a paradigm that has masked the healing properties of entheogens. Today, new research suggests that they may be just what our schizophrenic society needs as scientifically verified tools for healing and transformation. So now you are joining us to explore how and if a sustainable psychedelic revolution could heal the traumas of modern society. So to start us off, before we get into the research, I think a real good, decent grounding question. 2 parts. What are entheogens? Second part, what is a spore and why are they so special?
For me, entheogens are... I remember when I was on medicine grounds and with my teacher, Rockman, on the medicine grounds that the Letgo Takelma people use up in the middle, Central Oregon desert. And I'd taken mushrooms in a traditional way for a traditional purpose on a sacred place. And in that process, the sage plants came to me and they showed me their body. And I had no idea that, I thought sage plants were, we all know what sage plants are. And in that time, they showed me their bodies, and they're like these multicolored, luminous presences, like, luminous, filamentous, and they were huge, and very benevolent, and communicative, and there's a class of plants that we consider to be entheogens, but I think the word is so beautiful because it's we're going into the generation of the divine, really, and I think the entheogenic beings show us that we're participant in that kind of reality all of the time, and when they help us access more of our neurology than the one that gets trapped in our left temporal lobes and speech, then all of a sudden we begin to recognize where we really are. And so it's nice to realize here we are in an entheogenic reality.
Before I took DMT for the first time, I was an atheist. I hadn't taken a psychedelic substance in almost 15 years. I missed rave culture. I got out of college in 1992. I was in the ghetto within 3 months. It took me 10 years to get out. So I missed all of that. When I was first introduced to psychedelic culture, it was through a friend of mine. We ended up being... there's a Burning Man camp called Entheon Village, and we are 2 of the people that built this community, 2 of a group of about a dozen people. But this was many years before that, and we were sitting around talking about the medical cannabis bill that we were introducing to the Illinois legislature, and I saw an Alex Gray book on his desk, and I said, wow, what the is that? And start looking through it, and I'm like, wow, this is really creepy, man. Oh, yeah, it's a visionary art. It's Alex Gray. Oh, wow, that's like all psychedelic and stuff. Yeah, he takes a lot of DMT. What's DMT, right? So this whole conversation, oh, well, then it just, well, how do you know about this? Well, a group called MAPS. MAPS? Who are they? Well, they study psychedelics. Study psychedelics? What the hell is going on here? Has everybody gone mad? Oh, well, how do you know about this? Well, Burning Man. Burning Man? Isn't that like drug market out in the desert? And it was not clued in at all. In the span of 10 days, I was reintroduced to LSD, MDMA, and DMT for the first time. Yeah, it was pretty hell. It was pretty amazing. The first time I took DMT, I was it was intramuscular. It was cut with about 20% ketamine. And I had a 45-minute trip in another dimension where I was transported to a city of pyramids. And on each of the pyramids were rotating blocks of language. And they were alive. The buildings were alive, and they were communicating with me. And there was, they talk about the machine elves. They weren't machine elves to me. They were energetic beings from another dimension communicating with me, saying, notice these things? Do they look familiar? We're the ones who gave them to you. We created you. You understand us as many things, but we are what you know as God. This is one way we can communicate with you. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. And then I was a radical activist at the time. I was an organizer for the Green Party and many factions of the anti-war movement. I spent a lot of time in the streets and locked up and doing lots of crazy things that I thought would change things, and I was kind of misguided at the time. But I was taken on this nostalgia trip, and it, to the tune of Led Zeppelin's Going to California, for some reason, I relived on an emotional sense in this journey the entire civil rights and anti-war struggle of the 60s. And I watched it form, and I watched it grow, and then I watched it disintegrate, and I watched it get infiltrated, and I watched the people get corrupted and burnt out and disillusioned, and I watched the whole thing collapse. And the message in all of that is, don't repeat this mistake. Stop thinking in those terms. Think in new terms. And from that point, I was arrested 2 months later. It's a long story. You can read about it online. But all of this healing that I had started to work with MDMA for the post-traumatic stress disorder I had and such got interrupted, and I got sent to prison for a year. And when I came out, I was suicidal. I was ready to end it. I was planning my suicide and everything. Somebody helped me to stick around for a while because ayahuasca ceremonies had started to pop up in Chicago. This is about 5 years ago in a very small group of people. The long and short of this whole experience is I went to the first one. I managed to agree to live for 2 weeks to go to this ceremony. I went to it, and it completely changed my life. It saved me. I had a total rebirth experience. And it was at that point that I realized that there were higher forces working in my life than just what I thought. So what are entheogens? I'm going to go back to the root definition, is that they are substances that connect us with the divine. And whether you understand that divine to be an objectified third party that is outside of you, or whether you understand it to be an integrated part of you, is irrelevant in my opinion. It connects you with the divine, and it makes you understand that there is something beyond your ego, and that there is a power that can heal, right? And when that power was put through me, I was healed in a way that I could never have been healed had I not tried that, had I not been in that state. So I believe, if I had to speculate, that these substances were given to us so that we could explore our divine reality. And in different ways. They each have different messages and different connections to us. So what they are is organic God. If that makes any sense. You know?